So it's been a couple of days since the government released the UFO files. We finally got some disclosure on some of the most secretive videos, clips, and reports related to UFO and alien sightings in America and all around the world. Now, people are still digging into these files just like they dug into the Epstein files, and we're finding new interesting things, but also we're hearing that there might be future releases in this ongoing, I guess, series of UFO files that might be some of the craziest things yet. And this Reddit post is suggesting that there might actually be a clip or a video of them aliens, for real deal, right? It says, the one video we need released, which will basically be disclosure, a gray alien looking out of the window of a disc shot from a B-52. Now, this is insane, okay? So this is an X post by Ross Coulthard, who is been digging and doing journalism on these UFOs for a minute, all right? And he said, from a well-informed source who has seen the UAP videos still being withheld by the Department of War, accessible on its highly classified SIPRnet servers, among many others, we have videos of the following. I've personally seen this one on SIPR, a video from 6 years ago from the Persian Gulf, full-color, daytime of a white orb with plasma aura all around it, flying out of the water near a tanker. Pilot then goes white hot and black hot with no joy on identification attempt. Then the orb flies out, and roughly halfway through the 13-minute video, another white orb flies into the area as the pilot diverted to track the first one, and the second one hangs out for a while before zipping off again. The video then ends after a few more minutes of the Halo pilot tracking the first orb. I have not seen these, but they have been described to me by someone now public who was in the UAPTF. A video of a black disc 3 times the size of an oil platform that was captured speeding underwater near a platform in the Gulf of Mexico. And 2, a video from a B-52 in which a disc approaches, slows down to keep pace, then zips off at the end, all the while with NHI looking out of the windows, force fields, or whatever they call windows. It says, yes, this video exists. Apparently, this has personally been witnessed, right? That is the video. Apparently, there are more as well. They said another one was described by a source at ODNI, an orb playing cat and mouse with a Reaper drone at 30,000 feet or so up. It forces it to go evasive and then keeps pace with it. Zips around on the right wing, then zips off. All of this was in 4K or better, as told to me by my source, who is extremely well cleared and someone who I trust implicitly. It is very strange. It says, I've also spoken to multiple TS SCI cleared insiders who have described many similar irrefutably anomalous videos and imagery still being withheld by the Pentagon. I'm told it's extremely unlikely that this imagery will be formally released by AARO and that the public is being misled in a clear strategy of disinformation. Whether the Secretary of War and the President are aware of this deception is unclear. Let's hope they don't allow themselves or the public to be deceived. And then somebody said, I've personally seen number 2. It was Bob McGuire. Lots of people were shown it when asked if it were grays, he confirmed it with a thumbs up emoji. Okay, who is Bob McGuire? He's an electrical engineer, radar signal processing expert who became known in UFO circles for applying technical analysis to military footage and sensor data. Instead of arguing over blurry black and white dots, can we get Luna, Burleson, or Burchett to push for these videos to be classified and settle this once and for all? People saying, I'm going to need to see that B-52 video, boss, me too. Right, for real, this video gets formally released by the US, and that's disclosure. It's confirmed. That would be full confirmation. It says, meanwhile, here's a heavily redacted video of a blurry dot. Okay, people saying they don't trust him. But anyway, okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through some of the stuff that has apparently been released in these UFO files, okay? And you might be disappointed we don't see any grays, no gray figures, but there have been some very interesting things that have come out from the footage, all right? Most of it's coming from drone footage because they spend so much time observing the sky and the ground during wartime. So this is kind of one of the latest UFO sightings that we actually do have available to us. This was submitted by the US Indo-Pacific Command, an unidentified anomalous phenomenon. 1 minute and 59 seconds of video footage from an infrared sensor aboard a US military platform in 2023. There was no oral or written description of the observation, but they track an unusual object. It maintains a fixed position and orientation. And basically, yeah, this is the latest UFO clip that we've got, right? They're tracking this figure, this object. They got no idea what this is, right? They got no idea what this is. They haven't worked it out. This was in 2023, okay? Kind of a weird orb-looking thing in the sky. Maybe it's 2 things. But again, they got no idea, right? They got no idea what this is. So these are all the kind of new UFO files, the new footage and pictures that have come out, but they've kept the gray aliens from us. Okay, they've kept the grays away from us, but that's kind of the first one that I hadn't seen before. A little bit unusual. It's unexplained, but I don't know what on earth that could be, but they're saying that's a UFO sighting from 2023. So we got another one from the files, right? This one is a little bit more of a shape to it. And this apparently was observed by the Indo-Pacific Command as well in 2024. 9 seconds of video from an infrared sensor. No description. They said that this is an area of contrast resembling a football-shaped body with 3 radial projections, one oriented vertically, 2 oriented downward at a 45-degree angle relative to the major axis of the main mass. So this is quite an unusual one. This one we're getting a better view of whatever this is. I'm not going to lie to you, this almost looks like a blimp. But I think if it was a blimp, they would have known that. They would have worked it out. Very unusual. Okay, and so the next sighting that is available to us is this one here. Okay, and so this one is basically described. It's 1 minute 46 seconds from another infrared sensor on a military platform. This one's from 2013. And it basically says there's an area of contrast that resembles an 8-pointed star with arms of alternating length. And basically, there's a sensor field of view at the bottom right of the screen. No idea what this is. Okay, again, this is looking a little bit more like the star, the kind of compass-shaped objects that we'd seen previously. And the way it's moving is definitely looking like something from out of this world. That's a closer zoom of it there. It just came off screen there. Now, these ones are the creepiest ones. These are even leaving trails behind. And I think this is one of the most bizarre ones. Now, I don't know if this is more of a flare of light rather than the actual shape of the object, but that is creepy as hell. So this seems to be the more consistent shape that a lot of the UFOs that are getting sighted in these files are giving. This is an image that, a shape that has been shown in several different images that have been, found or posted since before and after this UFO disclosure. But this one is super creepy. I really don't like the way it moves. I don't trust this shape. It is a compass-like, but I can't imagine why something would move in that way. It's leaving behind a trail. This is probably one of the most bizarre ones and one of the most illuminating ones. And I think we'll be seeing more of this shape as we see more videos getting released, because this one seems to be consistent across a few things. But it's leaving behind a trail. It seems to be moving behind very fast. I think we're at a great distance here. But that is very, very suspicious. It's almost like it's trying to write something out, like it's trying to communicate or something. But the way that it moves is just nothing like a plane. It seems to be perfectly suspended in the air. It can move in any direction at will. It does seem to have a trail. Maybe there's some kind of propulsion system. But yeah, super, super creepy in the way that it's moving. I don't trust it. All right. So I've got another one for you here. We're just going to run through all the newly released sightings, okay? So there's another one that was released. This is only a 5-second video. It described the observation as initially as a possible missile moving across the field of view. There were 4 other objects that weren't in the video. They were possible birds, but they weren't sure exactly what this was. So this is just a little 5-second one that we kind of, what can we see? Just a little something flies by. That looks like a missile, to be honest with you. That does look like a missile, but if they were unaware of any missiles that were intended to be used in the area, it's very unusual. It does look like a missile. So the next one I've got for you guys here is this. So this is another unresolved UAP report. They said it was a probable Su-27 or 35. So they're thinking that this one is an airplane in the way that it moved. But let's see. This is still in the UFO files. Let's see, where does it appear? Is that way in the distance? See, this is something that's moving a lot more like a plane. I could believe that's a plane. It's kind of like shuffling along in the sky like a plane normally would. So the next one we've got here, this one's interesting, okay? This one's interesting. So this one, it basically explains, this is a 2 minute 17-second video. It was an object, a solid white object that made erratic movements above water. They basically, the sensor pans away from the initial subject matter, cycling contrast settings. The area of contrast re-enters the sensor field of view. So I think they have these sensors on the planes that are kind of looking for objects. They're trying to track onto them. They're scanning the environment, and they eventually kind of get onto it. And it says a blue reticule screen, reticle briefly appears on screen, but it doesn't get a lock-on on the area of contrast. So it doesn't manage to get a lock-on on whatever this thing is. But let's see, this one looks like it could be quite interesting. So this appears to be a kind of oil rig. And it said it was kind of a white object moving along the surface. As we saw there, it kind of swooped into frame, and this sensor is kind of struggling to get a grip on whatever this object is. But it's something going around in the water, and we've seen from especially a lot of the like Ukraine war and stuff, there's been a whole lot of like drone sightings of like underwater drones. They're using these submarine drones and boat drones to try and like blow up oil infrastructure. And the fact this is going on an oil rig, it could well be some kind of underwater drone, or something like that. You know, not all the drones fly around in the sky. But as you can see, it's this object. It's kind of, they seem to say it was hovering on top of the surface rather than in the water. And it is definitely illuminating. It kind of went off screen at the bottom here. It's kind of coming back now. But it's moving very erratically, and it's moving very quickly. The way that it's moving, I'm not really sure exactly what this could be. But yeah, that's an interesting, super creepy, interesting object just floating around there. So the next one that I'm going to show you here is another sighting. This appears to be, is that a boat there? Another unidentified anomalous phenomenon. This was another infrared sensor in 2020. So it enters the field of view from the bottom left quarter of the screen, following a generally linear path and exit from the top quarter. So we're going to see something come from out here. So that's a boat in the sea. And so we're going to see this unidentified flying object appear. There it is. And it just zooms past. And it's moving very, very quickly, especially in comparison to that boat. But it looks tiny. I mean, whatever this is, it looks very, very small. You know, if that's a boat, it doesn't look like a huge boat. Could be big. But whatever this is, it looks smaller. It looks smaller than a person. So the next one for you here. There's a bunch of these images that have gone around. Still no grey figures. Haven't seen any grey little men. So this is a 14-second video from a US military platform in 2022. The object was described as moving from north to south. It moves right to left across the top right quarter of the sensor view. So let's see. I think it's going to be over here somewhere. Just over here, there's just something that flies by. That's probably one of the least compelling ones that I've seen, but here it is in the files. I want to see it one more time. Just zooms by there. Okay. I don't know. Could be UFO, could be them aliens. I don't know. So this is another one. This one looks quite similar. This is in December 22 in Iraq, and there were quite a few of these that were captured in war zones, likely just because there were a lot of drones in the sky above these conflict areas. This is a 10-second video. Describe the UAP flying from west to east, and it moves from the bottom left to the top right of the sensor field of view, and it leaves. So let's see. It's going to kind of fly across. See that there? No idea what that is. Unusual. So let me show you the next UFO video, because we're now getting all of these videos, all of these files. It's all coming out, and we can just look at all of them. So this is another one in the sky. Basically, this one described a UAP as diamond-shaped, moving at approximately 434 knots. So how far is that? In miles per hour. That is about 500 miles per hour. That's serious speed. It was only detectable by a short-wave infrared sensor, so that sounds like they couldn't actually visibly view it with a normal camera. So the screen is split into two viewing areas. The right side displays electro-optical footage. The left side displays SWIR footage, which is the only sensor that you'll actually be able to see this. So what we're going to see is essentially an area of contrast. They say this one looks like an inverted teardrop with a vertically linear trailing mass suspended below. So let's see it. Where's it going to be? So this, we saw here, it just flies by. They said it was an inverted teardrop. Looks to me like a disc, like a circle kind of thing. But I guess it does look a little bit more bulbous at the bottom. So that is allegedly an inverted teardrop UAP flying through the sky in Greece. This one was in Greece. So I did see that this was teased, and they said there would be footage of UFOs flying off the coast of Greece, and this is it. This is the full, I'm not going to say full HD. This is looking like 480, if I'm honest with you. But there it is, all right? What is it? What on earth is it? The government has absolutely no idea what this is. So the next one. Okay, so let's take a look at this one here, all right? This is 5 seconds of footage from a US military platform in 2024. They described it as a misshapen and uneven ball of white light with a light glare halo effect at the top of the feed. So this UFO is going to move from right to left across the top edge of the center in the first second of the video. So you're going to see it up here real quick. There it is. All right, see that? See the UFO over here? See that UFO? There it is. It's like almost like a little white speck, red speck of light to it, kind of change color there. A little bit interesting. So the next one here, we're going to go through just all of them in this video, I think. There's another one, looks like kind of similar location. This is from Syria, October 2024. I think this might be the same effect or the same kind of vibe. White and red headlights, they described it as irregular color and brightness, and it extends to a width of approximately 1/3 of the frame with a vertical area comprising 1/6 of the viewing area. So this one seems to expand and get big. See if we can see it. I ain't see this one. I think maybe it's sort of this where the top of this kind of changes in shade a little bit. That one's pretty unremarkable, okay? I'm not sure if I saw no UFOs in that one. Maybe you did. Let me know if you did in the comments, okay? There's another one. Seems to be in the same kind of area. So this is sort of a big red glow. It then moves, disappears, and it jumps from one location to the other. So the next UFO that I've got here, so that one was in October 2024 in Syria. Is this another one? This is in Greece, October 2023. Saw some quite strange figures in the sky. That's just looking like a cloud, but there you go, a little UFO there, slipping through the net, sliding around, evading the radar. I don't know if these are UFOs too, or if these are just other things that are normal. They're not moving in such a dramatic way as this one, and it's gone. So those are kind of all of the main UFO sightings that I've kind of seen documented in these files as far as videos go. But investigative journalist Ross Coulthard has been discussing the video that he wanted to be released. As I already showed you this earlier, we have been waiting to find out what is going on with this file. And what's really interesting is that there are actually files in there that have been discussing the Roswell incident. So I've got all of these files in a document here, which may well reveal kind of some of the truth and some of what was really going on as far as the alleged aliens crash landing and being captured in Roswell. So let's take a look at some of those before I wrap this up. But here we've got a few documents, okay, and some very, very interesting stuff. So we ain't seen them aliens yet, but what we do have is files discussing incidents that occurred in Roswell where UFOs were allegedly captured, and it will actually discuss that somebody was actually found dead after recovering UFO technology. So look at this. Now we're getting to the meat and potatoes of it. It says, on the 1st of July, 1947, Lieutenant William G. McKinty, a student from Williams Field at Chandler, Arizona, was interviewed by this agent and stated in substance that on the 30th of June, 1947, at about 9:10 a.m., he was flying at 25,000 feet over the Grand Canyon, Arizona, in an F-80 type aircraft. He stated that he was heading south towards Williams Field, Arizona, when he saw two round objects going at inconceivable speeds straight down. He further stated that his reactions were to turn away from the objects. He further stated that one of the unidentifiable objects followed others seconds apart. He further stated that due to the speed of the objects, he could only see that they were circular and that they were possibly light gray in color. So that's the objects. He further stated it was his opinion that the objects were approximately 8 feet in diameter. In conclusion, he stated the objects would have probably hit the ground approximately 25 miles south of the south rim of the Grand Canyon. So he gave his information and some background about who he is and where this all went down. This was another instance on the 1st of July, 1947. Captain Malcolm G. Armstrong was a single-engine instructor from Williams Field, Chandler, Arizona. First Lieutenant E. Armstrong, stationed at the AAF Brooks base in Texas, had related to him that he saw a formation of unexplainable objects in the vicinity of Lake Mead, Nevada. Captain Armstrong further stated that his brother stated that objects were heading south and they were approximately at 10,000 feet altitude. So that's interesting start, but this is where it gets really juicy, where they discuss somebody actually dying after recovering UFO technology. So this is a memo from FBI Portland. It's urgent, flying discs. It said, re telephone call from Mr. Ladd. 1 p.m. today, requesting teletype summary concerning newspaper reports of recent reported flying discs in Portland area and reported conference of Army officials in Portland concerning flying discs. Leverett G. Richards, aviation editor of the Oregonian, advised that Captain William L. Davidson and Lieutenant Frank M. Brown of the 4th AAF headquarters, San Francisco, were in Portland July 27 last, and interviewed Dick Rankin, an experienced pilot who had reported June 14 last seeing a formation of 10 flying discs over Bakersfield, California. According to Richards, they had also interviewed following 4 experienced pilots who were among the first who reported seeing discs: Kenneth Arnold, businessman from Boise, Idaho, Captain E.J. Smith, and co-pilot Ralph Stevens of United Airlines, and Dave Johnson, aviation editor of Ohio Statesman. To ascertain the purpose of the interviews, Richards conducted Major General Twining of Wright Field, Ohio, by phone at Albuquerque, and from him gained the impression that the AAF institute this investigation to wash out the disc reports, since they are definitely not of AAF origin. And it says, on Friday, August 1st, the plane in which AAF investigators Captain Davidson and Lieutenant Brown were riding crashed at Kelso Wash, and both were killed. The wreckage was screened by AAF intelligence from McCord Field, the Tacoma News Tribune, and through them, the United Press. They put out a story that the plane was carrying parts of a disc which had struck a boat owned by Harold Dahl of Fred Krisman, Tacoma, Wisconsin. Richards advised that today's issue of the Oregonian carries a up story stating that the Dahl denies saying the metal fragments he furnished were from a disc. An analysis of the fragment shows them to be from a Tacoma slag mill. No AAF intelligence personnel available. Portland. No recent substantive records of flying discs in the Portland area. Seattle verify at McCord Field, and San Francisco verify at AAF headquarters, submitting teletype summaries to the Bureau. No further investigation. Portland. So they're saying that apparently a plane was carrying parts of a flying disc that had struck a boat, and that plane crashed and they died. That's super creepy. So there's also files that seem to discuss actually Nazis from the German, the bad guys, all right? Some people want to say that they were the good guys. They were definitely the bad guys, and were definitely smoking Hitler. But anyway, all right, this apparently is a document that suggests that the Nazis actually had access to UFO technology. So on April 26, 1967, Paul L. Perriel from Miami, Florida, appeared at the Miami office of, this is the FBI, Department of Justice. So they appeared at the Miami FBI office furnishing the following information relating to an object presently referred to as an unidentified flying object he allegedly photographed during November 1944. Sometime during 1943, he graduated from the German Air Academy and was assigned as a member of the Luftwaffe on the Russian front. Near the end of 1944, he was released from this duty and assigned back. Was assigned as a test pilot to a top-secret project in the Black Forest of Austria. It was during this period he observed aircraft described above. It was saucer-shaped, about 21 feet in diameter, radio-controlled, and mounted several jet engines around the exterior portion of the craft. He further described the exterior portion as revolving around the dome in the center, which remained stationary. It was Perrel's responsibility to photograph the object while in flight. He asserted he was able to retain a negative of a photograph he made at 7,000 meters or 20,000 feet. A Xerox copy of the negative as furnished to Perrel appears on the last page of this communication. Also, a still photograph he allegedly made at the risk of my life, illustrating the object parked in a hangar, appears on the last page. According to Perrel, the above aircraft was designed and engineered by, first name unknown, last name Kur, a German engineer whose present whereabouts is unknown to him. He assumed Kur was taken into custody by the Allied forces upon the termination of hostilities. Perrel stated that Kur unsuccessfully attempted to avoid the German draft, was apprehended by the Gestapo in Vienna, Austria, sometime during the late 1943 or 1944s. Perrel also assumed the secrets pertaining to this aircraft captured by Allied forces. He said this type of aircraft was responsible for the downing of at least one American B-26 airplane, and he furnished the following fuel and engine data. Fuel mixture of N2H4O in methyl alcohol CH3OH rather than oxygen-holding mixture of hydrogen peroxide H2O2 in water. 7 meters, 1-3 meter high 2 rocket motors, smooth flow rotary drive over 2,000 meters per second. Perrel said that He copied this data from a board located in the hangar area. Perel asserted that he was shot down by the British on March 14, 1945, after having been reassigned to the Western Front. He was held prisoner by the British in London and later in Brussels until his release in 1946. He departed for the United States from Bremerhaven, Germany, on December the 26th, 1951, entering the US in New Jersey on January the 7th, 1952. He was subsequently naturalized in Miami during 1958. He's presently employed as a mechanic at Eastern Airlines, Miami, Florida. He related that he was born on May the 3rd, 1924 in Austria. Perel stated he has withheld this information because he assumed the United States possessed it. He has become increasingly concerned because of the unconfirmed reports regarding a similar object and denials the United States has such an aircraft. He feels such a weapon would be beneficial in Vietnam and would prevent the further losses of American lives, which was his paramount purpose in contacting the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Perel reiterated that he has the original negatives of both photographs. He said those shots were taken at 30-second time exposure. This document contains neither recommendations nor conclusions to the FBI. It's the property of the FBI and loaned to your agency, and its contents are not to be distributed outside the agency. And these are apparently the images that he had of the craft. It seems that this is it in the sky. It looks like classically UFO saucer amongst clouds, saying that this is what it looked like on the bottom. It's kind of smooth with a little nipple kind of shape sticking out of it. And then this is the apparent top of the craft. And it's weird because, and this one, it looks like, yeah, it's got all these jet engines sticking out on the side of it. But here it looks smooth. Is that because it's spinning around at high speed? This almost looks like a ruffled sort of frilly edging to it. But that apparently is a picture of a UFO built by the Nazis. Okay, now look, I have been digging into this for quite some time. I found a lot of things that have disturbed me. I feel like this reveal is a bit tame compared to what a lot of people were expecting, but apparently to Ross Coulthard, there is a video of them aliens actually out there, okay? And I, for one, am dying to see it. I want to see them little grey people, please, if possible. President Trump, Daddy Trump. So anyway, I will catch you guys in the next video. That's my little UFO breakdown for the day. I'm going to come back with some more updates on different things. Going to cover a few different topics. Perhaps a David video today, perhaps not. I don't know if I've got anything that interesting to update you guys on, but I'm going to do a little bit of digging on a few leads that I had been meaning to look into. But thank you so much for watching this. Sorry I didn't upload yesterday. I've been very tired and a bit down, so I'm going to get right back to it today. As you can see, I'm back to it. Here I am. I'm here right now. So yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching and supporting. Peace out.